What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew,
I'm Jeremiah.
and I have something fun to tell you guys.
Uh-oh.
We're not recording.
What?
You want to do it again? You ready?
Yep.
Hey, everyone. Andrew here. To tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews. If you don't know, we're just gonna go with it. Andrews, you definitely should. So they're an award-winning coffee roaster.
We'll fix that in
The
post.
the intro's not there anymore.
They make fantastic coffee.
So that's great.
The awesome thing.
So you know what? We're just gonna improvise. Hey, everyone who's watching on Twitch, you're gonna get this is prime improv. Because I went back. The intro button is not there anymore. So
do,
that's good.
do we want to introduce ourselves again for
Oh,
editing
heck yeah.
purposes? Okay.
Tanner goes, amazing. Those were all the wrong sounds. You're right. And that's because I went back to hit the button that I thought was the intro. It's just not there. It disappeared. But anyways, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
And today we are going to be hitting part 2 and or season 3, depending on the way you want to look at it, of the OG Clone Wars, produced by Gendy Tartakovsky and not Star Wars, Cartoon Network. That's what I meant to say. And Cartoon Network and Star Wars. It was technically, I guess you could say it was produced by Star Wars in a very broad sense. But anyways, before we get into everything like we normally do, we've got some announcements. And all of those are just that we have social media, and you should definitely hit us up on social media to connect with us. So you can get on Instagram and on Facebook, search for at Empire Radio Podcast. All one word, no caps, nothing else. Just at Empire Radio Podcast. You'll find us on both social medias. You can connect with us that way. You can go to YouTube, search for Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast, and hit us up there on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, stay up to date on all of our uploads. Twitch.tv/Empire Radio. That is the platform that we use to live stream all of the recordings of these episodes. And so if you want to be even more a part of the fun, if you're like just on Instagram and Facebook, but you're like, man, I wish there was a new level of fun and of connection I can have with these guys, get on Twitch, join the chat. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun in the chat. Sometimes we directly reference the chat. Sometimes we don't. But it's always a lot of fun.
And you guys can see all of our technical difficulties all the time. It's really cool. So
so here's the thing. Here's the thing about Twitch is if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you have no idea that right before we started recording, everything fell apart.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't even realize my mic was muted for the Twitch for like half of that too. So,
Yeah. So like Drew's mic was muted. I hit the intro and missed the record button. And then I went to do the record again, and for some reason the intro button was gone. Like all of these things happen. So if you wanna see the real us, that's the way to do it. Also, speaking of the real us, if you would like to connect with us outside of the recording times, we do have a Discord channel. It has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun, especially as we add new people.
We got like a bunch of new people this past week, so
new senses of humor get added into the mix, and I love it. I love it a great deal. There's a lot of really good discussions about Star Wars happening, about Star Wars content.
And WandaVision.
And WandaVision.
Jeremiah, could you add after this? Could you add a Cobra Kai thing too, so we can have that going?
We'll add a Cobra Kai channel on our Discord because
on our Star Wars Discord.
We have a Star Trek one, so we can have a Cobra Kai.
Thank you. That's all I asked.
You wanted to make a bad joke. Anyways, this is just what you get to experience on Discord, essentially, just in text format. So head over to the Instagram bio, the link in our Instagram bio, and a pinned post on our Facebook group. You can click the invite link and join that way. Speaking of our fans, last week Jeremiah challenged everyone in the Discord and on the Twitch stream
and the
to make
listeners
their own voicemail, and our listeners to give us a voicemail, to make us a voicemail and leave us a voicemail. So guess what? We had one. But the awesome thing about that one is that it marks 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row we've had a voicemail to listen to on air. So please, let's keep this going. At the very least, let's shoot for a full month, full 4 weeks, if we can. And best case scenario, let's have 30 to listen to next week.
That'd be cool.
If we get enough, here's the thing. Here's some incentive. If we get enough,
oh man, here we go.
So many that we can't listen to them all in one episode, we might do an episode where we just listen to voicemails and answer our listener questions.
That's ideal. That'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
So tell all of your friends, leave us a voicemail. Keep it G-rated. This is a family podcast.
And it literally just takes like 5 seconds to do. Like it's not a lot.
It's been super easy. So send them in, and who knows, if we get enough, we might just make a whole episode out of it.
Remind our listeners how they can leave that voicemail.
Yes. So if you are listening to the podcast in a normal podcast browser, i.e. Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, among the links in the description, Anchor, the publisher of our podcast, automatically leaves a link that you can click to go straight to the voicemail page and do it that way. Or if you're not listening and you think about it and you want to do it in the meantime, go over to anchor.fm/Empire Radio. You can do it from our landing page there. But speaking of voicemails, we got the one that we did get this week was from a very frequently referenced, long-standing lover of Empire Radio, Tanner, who has been in our live streams for as long as I can remember, consistently every week, and been very active in the Discord. So he sent one in, and I've heard it. I think it's lovely.
I've heard it too.
I have not.
You went ahead and listened to it, Jeremiah?
How dare you?
Why was I not supposed to?
Because
the last 3, you've been like, I haven't heard it yet. And it's fun because it doesn't matter. We're going to listen to it right now during this live recording. Tanner, I know you're watching right now. I hope you're ready to hear yourself. Here we go.
Hey everyone, Tanner here. I am pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is
Oh my
me,
gosh.
Jeremiah. No, that's not really happening. I just wanted to drop by and say hello and just express my gratitude for Drew, Andrew, and Jeremiah as you guys put out more content and just are killing it with the podcast and the Discord and how much fun I'm having and I know everybody else is having. You guys are killing it. Thank you for what you're doing. I know it's a lot of work. You guys have your own separate lives, your own separate jobs, and yet you continue to do this week after week. And I thank you so much for it. It's so much fun getting to know you guys and everybody else that's involved. I hope there's more great things coming out. I know you guys will kill it. But yeah, I just want to say thank you and keep on keeping on, boys. You guys are killing it. May the force be with you guys.
Good old
Hey,
Tanner.
everyone, Tanner here.
I thought he was going to do the coffee ad, like his own.
Yeah, that would have been dope.
The first time I listened to it, I was really hoping that the whole message would be in the same format as the coffee ad, just about us or something, you know? But you know what? Seriously, man, thank you so much. I do have one regret, and that is, so for those of you that don't know, Tanner and I were at the same university at the same time. Part of it as a student, but then I was working there full time, and we crossed paths. That's what I'm trying to say.
We crossed eyes. That's what you was gonna say.
We did. And my only regret is not getting to know Tanner more, because like I knew he was a Star Wars fan, but I didn't know he was
a Star Wars fan.
Like he was a Star Wars fan. You know what I'm saying? So, so it would have been.
But you know what?
A few things, but
better late than ever, though, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, Anyway, so thank you so much, Tanner. Messages from like, all of the messages that we've heard that have been so encouraging and so uplifting mean a lot. They really do because we love our listeners, we love our fans. Jared last week said it is a small community, and so any feedback like this we get from each of you means even more than it would if we had a community of thousands of people. If you know what I'm saying, it goes a lot farther for me at least, because it's coming from the people that choose to listen every week or watch the stream every week. And so seriously, thank you to all of you who have left voicemails, everyone who's giving us feedback in the Discord or on social media. And again, leave us a voicemail. If we have a lot, we'll make an episode about it. It'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for right now. You boys ready to dive in?
Yep.
I'm ready to dive.
All right, let's fly on over. All right, here we are.
We're
We made
here.
You're here.
We, like I mentioned in the beginning, we're talking about Volume 2 or Season 3 of the original Clone Wars from 2005. So, really quickly, give a little bit of backstory. We'll go into our general thoughts. We'll just go ahead and get that out of the way because I'm a little afraid of what Jeremiah's going to say. And then we'll go
Me
into a
too.
scene-by-scene like we did last week. This original Clone Wars series is completely two-dimensional, like kind of traditional cartoon animated. It's produced by Genndy Tartakovsky and Cartoon Network at the request of Hasbro because they wanted to sell toys in the impending release of Revenge of the Sith. If you didn't know this, a vast majority, I would say pretty confidently 75 to 80% of all television shows for the last like 3 decades have been a result of selling toys. It's just kind of how it works. A lot of shows like Transformers, even like the original Transformers and Power Rangers and stuff. Well, maybe not as much Power Rangers, but like Transformers for sure, G.I. Joe. All of those shows were made because the toys existed first. He-Man was the same thing, which is kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy. And speaking of toys, you guys look what I got.
Okay. So for those of you that can't see, if you're listening to the audio-only version, Drew picked up a pack of toys from the original Clone Wars that we're talking about. That includes, it's really pixelated, but it looks like Ventress, Grievous, and Dirge.
Yes, it's all 3 of them, and it says DVD not included on the box. So just in case, what a bummer. But yes, it's really cool. This is how it came. I was able to find it at a small local toy shop, so I thought I would pick it up. And
That's awesome.
it was like, I don't even know, it was like $15, but it's a little cool thing.
Yeah,
and
you can find those relatively cheap because nobody really cared about them.
well, actually, this one on Amazon right now is over $100 worth. So
Yeah, Amazon is
just
it's
saying.
a lawless world. It's like the Outer Rim in the High Republic, but worse.
Way worse.
So is
but
eBay.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Anyways,
the toys are cool, and
they are.
How many years later it worked for me, and I bought the toys, so it's still working.
Yeah. So I mean that's the thing. They're trying to drive interest and build up anticipation for Revenge of the Sith, and so they say, hey, Cartoon Network, Genndy Tartakovsky, you want to make a show? He says yes. He says, but I want to extend the episode links because they were originally going to be like 1 minute, essentially commercials. So the first season that ran from like 2003 and 2004 was 3 to 5 minute episodes. And then the season that we are going to talk about today, fun fact, you remember last week I said there were 15 minute episodes?
Mm-hmm.
That was a typo. There were 5.
Oh, wow.
It was a typo. And it's a pretty big typo. So there are 5 12 to 15 minute episodes. They extended the length for this last season.
So the question I have, was the version that we watched on YouTube an edited version where the episodes are broken up? Or was it...
They smushed everything together.
Because it seems like, like the story arcs could have been watched as a single story arc, but heroes was broken up. So I'm wondering if the person who put together edited
No.
it, or if it
They were
what we-
broken up lot in the TV
Okay.
releases.
I wonder if there is a version though, Jeremiah, somewhere out there where they're not broken up, because that would be
probably.
kind of that'd be
All
kind
you
of
would
cool.
need to do is download that YouTube video to an MP4 format and edit the heck out of it.
Maybe I could do that.
Yeah,
You
You
I mean,
could.
I'm not.
you could
I'm not.
practice.
But
Jeremiah?
if you do, we'll watch it.
I would
Spoiler
watch
alert,
it.
I'm gonna be learning video editing, so in the future, Empire Radio will be more
Edited
professional,
more.
better quality. How about that?
Oh, sure.
I can't tell if that was like a like a back kind of
Yeah.
a backhanded comment at
Yeah.
the editing that I've already done, or if it's
No, I mean like for YouTube, not audio editing.
Once again,
we're
the-
talking about the video versions. I got you. Okay,
The
that makes
the audio has
sense.
been was on point this whole for the past over a year. So
I got you. Okay.
so it's just a thing at me though, Andrew. So don't worry. It's
Oh,
just
gotcha. Okay.
directed towards
So-
me, not you.
You can take that, Drew.
Yeah, that's fair.
So anyways, so that's the kind of the main gist. A few other side facts, like I mentioned, 12 to 15-minute episodes. There were 5 of them, and they aired in 2005, March 21st through the 25th, back to back every night. It was, the crazy thing is I have a vivid memory of like them announcing this as like a special event. It's like a 5-day thing. And I don't remember if I caught them all as they aired, but like I definitely watched. I made it a point to sit down and watch a few of these for sure on TV when I was younger. And the crazy thing is that this season, if you will, ended on the 25th of March. May 19th, a little bit less than 2 months later, Revenge of the Sith came out in the same year. This story leads right up until the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, and it was intended to fill the gap of kind of to show like what were the heroes of Revenge of the Sith doing right before the events of the movie, and also to answer the question of like, okay, how did Palpatine get captured? Because like at the beginning of the movie, he's already. I'm not gonna say spoilers. You should know this. At the beginning of the movie, he's captured. He's in the chair. He does the do it thing. All of that. But it's like, how did he get there? So the goal of this was to explain it. Another thing.
Grievous.
Another two things that this series aims to explain. One, how Grievous's voice gets damaged.
It's not from cigarettes
Correct.
or death
He wasn't-
sticks.
Or death sticks. And then the second thing that it goes to explain is how Anakin and Grievous never actually met in person. So like in the Clone Wars, there's some debate of like, I swear they met during the Clone Wars, and I still think that at some point Jeremiah's shaking his head, they probably didn't. But at the very least, this is like, at the time, this was the only story that we had between the two movies, and they for sure did not meet. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, that's just some fun facts. So this was mid-2005, right before Revenge of the Sith came out. I went and saw Revenge of the Sith for my birthday, because my birthday's on the 17th. So pretty sure I had a sleepover, and then we all went to see it the next day. It was a lot of fun. And I got a lightsaber that year.
Do you still have it?
Sure. No.
Wow.
Dude. Okay, well, first of all, I was a young kid. I was 9 years old at the time. I didn't think, this could be worth something. No, I destroyed it.
That's fair.
Play fighting with my friends and my father and hitting trees and doing whatever else I could hit, with a lightsaber. Anyways. Okay, so I'm going to cringe a little bit. What did we think?
Jeremiah, go
Let's
first.
just start with Jeremiah. Jeremiah,
Go
what did you
first,
think?
Jeremiah.
all right. So I was thinking about how I could express my thoughts on this. 'Cause I knew this was going to come up.
Oh,
So
Lord.
if canon Clone Wars show is a 10 out of 10,
Okay.
and volume 1 or last week's like seasons 1 and 2 was like a 2 for me. This final season, I would put it at a solid 8.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
I actually
was
really liked it.
I was not expecting that.
Wow.
And
We even have people in the chat that says tread lightly, Jeremiah, and
because here's the thing, I really liked the story of Palpatine getting taken. Like, I want them to make that into a 4-episode Clone Wars like little like limited series type thing. Like, this little
that'd be
thing,
cool.
Like I actually want that because like I've thought about like how did he get captured, but like
Right.
I've never really dwelt on it.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like seeing this, I'm like, I really want to see this like in a canon thing. So I really liked it, and I like the Anakin's like Jedi trial thing where he has to.
Oh.
Oh gosh, yes, his
Sorry.
neck too. Yeah, but like I really like that. Like when he had to go off on his own and figure it out, and
Yeah.
now I should drop this down to a 7 out of 10 because of the C-3PO striptease thing.
Okay.
was
Yeah. That whole
terrible.
the whole alleyway.
No, the whole
scene.
like I don't know if you guys caught
Okay.
it, but I did post it in the Discord. I was like, "You look better in the dark."
Oh yeah, dude, I reacted to that.
Okay,
But
I
yes,
didn't-
that
I
whole
didn't ha-
that whole thing is I just hate it.
I didn't have too much problem with that scene, but just the whole C-3PO striptease thing
Yeah.
was just super awkward. I'm like, oh, gross.
Yeah, it was bad.
But
It was bad.
um,
All right.
I
That's-
liked it. I liked the animation style was better, and what I noticed was for like the Starfighter moving, like how it was kind of done like in a 3D type of thing.
Yeah.
It was very reminiscent of you guys haven't seen it, but Star Wars Resistance. Because that's
Oh yeah, I could see that.
that's 2D technically, but it's very 3D esque, and the visuals in that show are really unique, and it reminded me of Star Wars Resistance, which you two still need to get on so we can do some podcasts on it.
I will watch it when you read Ahsoka book.
Oh boy.
You can't add on all these things. Ahsoka is for Ahsoka stuff. But whatever.
We have altered the deal.
The deal has
We
changed.
don't alter it any further.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the animation style was better, which I liked, and the one thing that was kind of confusing to me was the whole quick little scene with little Annie and Qui-Gon, and like it was like a 2-second thing, and like I thought this was gonna be like a whole story, but
Yeah, it was just there.
it just was there and gone. I didn't really get it, but other than that, I thought it was very enjoyable.
Cool.
Oh wow.
Drew.
All right. So for me, it was fine. I liked it way better than the last one.
Okay, Andrew's just rolling his eyes.
How did we get an 8 out of 10 from Jeremiah, and then you of all people that I was like, it's gonna
No,
be my corner, it's gonna be, we're both gonna
I'm
be
still
hyped
in
about
your
this.
corner. I'm saying,
It's fine.
I mean, it's all fine. I enjoy it because I like this style because I grew up watching this as a kid. So it's still nostalgia for me. So I still enjoy it. I mean, I freaking bought the toys, Andrew. I'm still in your corner. Calm yourself. But that being said, the alley scene was rough.
Yeah.
And I watched it like today before we did the podcast, so it's very fresh in my mind. Yeah, don't look at me like that for sure. And it's just the alley scene was rough, and besides that, I is this did Padme always call Anakin Annie? Or is that just this?
I think it's just kind of this thing.
'Cause-
Because I don't think she ever calls him that in the movies.
Besides when he was Annie.
Right.
Because that kind of took me out of it a little bit. I can't recall if she did in other...
Okay, how about this?
movies?
Let me rephrase my question. if we were to just suck the whole alleyway scene out of this,
And her keep calling him Annie.
okay, sure. But if we were to take
Yes.
that out, what would you think?
I still, unlike Jeremiah, I do not like Anakin's come to Jedi Knight trial thing. I didn't like it. I don't like the tattoos that he got.
But they weren't really like permanent tattoos, though.
They weren't. I don't know. Do we know that?
Yeah, because they moved on their own.
Because they're tattooing them.
No, it moved on itself, right?
Yeah, like
What?
they're creatures that were like.
Yeah, so they're not actual tattoos. They're there for a ceremonial thing, and you went on a
I mean, they
journey.
go away.
Oh, well then I guess that. I thought he actually got tattoos, and I was like, "This is."
No, because it was on his
Dude,
face at one point, wasn't it?
Dude, at the end of at the very end, there's nothing there.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I didn't recognize it. That's my fault. That helps a little bit.
Okay,
But
that's good.
and he was wearing no shirt the whole time. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I don't. The story's good, and honestly, the invade on like the whole getting Palpatine and like Yoda, and just destroying things and stuff. That was cool. That was really impressive how he made those ships literally kept colliding into each other, and he like
Yeah.
high fived the air and.
Mace Windu like force hacking into the.
That was a little much, but yes. It was fun. And as a kid, I was like I was like, all right, just think that you're a young kid and then watch this, because when he grabbed that thing, I was like, this is stupid. But as a kid, I would have loved that. Him riding the ship around and
I still, as a 26-year-old male, I still love it. Like wholeheartedly. Like I have fun watching that every time. So it's okay. Hey, it's
I
fine.
liked it
It's-
better than last week's. I don't feel comfortable giving it a rating.
we weren't.
Did we
really
give
here.
ratings last week?
No,
No.
I wasn't really looking for a rating.
Okay.
Jeremiah just did that
No,
to help us out.
I liked it. Yeah, that definitely helped. I liked it. It was enjoyable. It was fun. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's fun. It's a good hour of entertainment.
I really like the scene when Yoda knights Anakin and cuts
Yeah.
his braid off.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's super cool.
I mean well, we'll get to that later. I will say to both of you, there is an alternate version
Oh Lord.
of the Attack on Coruscant, and it goes way more in depth in the Labyrinth of Evil expanded universe novel.
Oh.
So that's for sure canon, right? Or no?
No, unfortunately. But in that, here's some little tidbits. In that one, Shakti is still involved, but it goes very differently for her. And Mace Windu and Grievous actually have a duel.
Ooh.
And in that novel, it is explained why Obi-Wan was sent specifically to fight Grievous. Mace Windu in that book, and I'm paraphrasing, but he says something along the lines of, Obi-Wan, because of a specific reason, you're the only Jedi in the Order that could actually take Grievous down. And that's coming from Mace Windu, who is, aside from Yoda, the best duelist in the Order. So it's a lot of fun. Like it adds to Revenge of the Sith in the same way Plagueis adds to the Phantom Menace for me. But anyways, let's dive in. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Scene by scene. Okay, so this season opens up right where we left off in the last one with the Fallen Republic cruiser. The Jedi are in there. When we left off, they were about to face Grievous, but this season opens up with the ARC troopers in the gunship. They're preparing. You see them fly in because you got this down Republic cruiser, and then there's like a full circle of thousands and thousands of super battle droids. excuse me, around the ship, and they fly in. The ARC troopers fly in with this gunship, and as they're flying in, they like wreck a few droids and lay some bombs down and stuff like that. They blast in. They get there, and then we see another Super BA like ARC trooper moment. So if you're watching on Twitch, I have two of the ARC troopers from this scene in the background of my video, but they've got like one's got like a full automatic chain gun, and then the other one's got like a 4-barrel cannon that's
That-
strapped.
That one is just over the top for me. Like,
I love it.
I
it
think
so
it was pretty
much.
dope.
it's like an anti-aircraft thing from like World War II. Like,
It looks
mounted on
like
his chest.
the 4-barreled cannons from the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, it's
Just
still
stuck to his
the ones that.
front, like,
Yeah.
But it kind of reminded me of, I don't know why, but have you seen the movie The Mask
it's
with
been
Jim Carrey? I think
too
there's a
long. I don't
scene
remember it.
where like he whips out like this giant cartoon gun with like 50 barrels on it, and it's just like over the top.
Oh
And
yeah,
it kind of reminded me of that, this big chest thing with these giant cannons, and like this
It's so cool.
comes
though,
out
because
of nowhere.
he's got like mechanical arms that help stabilize it from a backpack and everything. Anyway, so they get out, they start doing their thing, doing hand signals, they start running in and stuff, and they get to the part where Grievous is still dueling with Ki-Adi-Mundi. He looks super rough, looks like he's been through the ringer, but he's still alive. And then there's this moment where the ARC troopers show up, and Grievous stops and looks at them. Ki-Adi-Mundi turns around and looks at them, and then there's like a split second of the ARC troopers completely still, and then they just open fire.
Yeah, and then they just go
on
ham.
Grievous. Yeah, they just unload. So they're firing at Grievous. Then Grievous starts running away. He goes up onto the ceiling. Ki-Adi-Mundi says, "Shoot him down." It kind of reminded me of the part right at the beginning of Jurassic Park where the guy yells, "Shoot her," because of the Velociraptor.
Mhm.
It's the same energy. Anyways, so they try to shoot him down. The gunship comes in at one point and starts unloading on Grievous, and he's just running and evading the whole time. And then they end up, while Grievous is occupied, they end up getting the 3 remaining Jedi Masters who've survived, who are Ki-Adi-Mundi, Aayla Secura, and Shakti, out. And then they end up getting away. Grievous takes the lightsabers of the fallen Jedi, and in a very normal voice, says something along the lines of, "You've only delayed the inevitable," or whatever. But that's the first scene. So literally picks up the equivalents of like minutes from where the last season left off.
Did you guys like Grievous's voice?
I'm just so used to the one way, so it's just weird.
It's
Yeah, it was
hard
just a
'cause,
little
like,
weird.
It's hard because like they didn't have a ton of source material, you
Mhm.
know, and so they're like, because at the time the plan was to explain how he got to the point he was in Revenge of the Sith. So they're like, well, what is he gonna
How did
sound
he
like?
sound like before?
Yeah, it's just a normal guy. you
Yeah.
know? It's like none of the clone troopers either had the correct voice.
True.
Yeah,
I was
or
just
the correct voice.
it like threw me off, but then like knowing the fact that they were gonna like show how it happened,
Yeah,
it kind of made that whole thing not be as bad. Like, you know,
for
but
sure. Yeah. Right after that, you've got that vision that Jeremiah mentioned, where Anakin is talking to Qui-Gon. Young Anakin is talking to Qui-Gon.
little Annie.
Little Annie, outside of the cave on Dagobah, and he's like, "What's in there?" And Qui-Gon's like, "Only what you take with you." And all of a sudden, look, they made his nose way too big.
That's true. They made his nose too big. They made Anakin's neck too big.
Anakin has that neck. Good lord, giraffe status. He was picking off the tallest of leaves.
He was the chosen one, so I guess.
Chosen for a long neck.
Yes.
Anyways, so there's this vision, and it doesn't really make a ton of sense. I guess it does as like a parallel to
But
the
the
test
thing-
that he has at the end, but
the
even
thing is-
still, it's
But right after that vision or that thing with Qui-Gon, it goes to Yoda meditating. So is this
Yeah.
something a vision Yoda
I think
had?
it was. Yeah,
believe
that's
so,
what I
yes.
was getting out of it. It was like a Yoda issue.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess not.
that's-
Issue's not the right word, but it seemed like it was like Yoda, like realizing that maybe he wasn't the chosen one.
No, I think because he was the chosen one, they were going to advance his
Training.
status as
True.
Yoda.
Yes.
I think it was foreshadowing this Jedi trial that he was going to have, and the transition between, being a Padawan and going into knighthood. Let's see. My computer was being weird for a second. Okay. So then they have this whole discussion about the Jedi Council's having a discussion. Ki-Adi Muuni's like, yo, we got wrecked. We need more Jedi. Jedi are dying too quickly. We need more knights. The war is taking its toll. And one of the masters is like, yeah, we need more knights. And Obi-Wan's like, well, I think that we should promote Anakin. He's already faced many things that are more difficult than the trials themselves. And he goes through like how he had, I've got it actually written down, how he has a trial of skill. He passed the trial of skill when he fought Ventress. He passed the trial of the flesh because of Dooku cutting off his arm. And, this whole war has been a test of courage. And the one final trial he hasn't had is the test of the spirit. But direct callbacks to the duel with Ventress and to Attack of the Clones, which is kind of cool.
Which
and then,
I didn't realize that Ventress died last
Yeah.
season. I didn't realize she actually was dead.
I thought she was gonna come back because they didn't
Yeah.
show her.
Exactly. That's why I was like,
unless
oh,
you see a dead body, like you can't.
true. If
No,
they
it's dead.
fall, they're not dead in Star Wars.
But also, that idea is our modern day storytelling, but this is 20 years ago,
True.
which
That was the introduction to
that's
her
kinda
too,
crazy. Yeah.
which I totally forgot about that last week. But
Yeah. Yeah, so they argue a little bit, and then Yoda finally is like, all right, we'll make him a Jedi Knight. And then we get to everyone's favorite part. The
Yep.
part of Anakin and Padme. So I'll just give a
No.
summarized version, skim
no,
through it.
you don't want to go over this.
We'll probably have to. Anyways, so there's a shot of Anakin. He's walking in Coruscant on the streets, and he's got his hood up, and he senses that someone who is also wearing a cloak with a hood on is following him. So at a certain point, there's a few shots of him walking through different places, and then at a certain point, Anakin does the Force sprint thing and gets way ahead. And then the next scene, the hooded figure is more. I don't think it was like a full run, but they're definitely jogging to try to catch up with Anakin. And then all of a sudden, out of an alleyway, a metal hand reaches out, pulls the cloaked figure in, a lightsaber ignites at their throat, and then Anakin realizes that it's Padme. He almost kills his wife. Also,
thing is,
could
like,
he not sense her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Anyways,
Yeah.
we
We're not
don't need
gonna.
to
We're not
overthink
gonna.
this. Yeah. But whatever. So they're in the alleyway, and then they have their moments, and there's a lot of like awkward noises and
Yeah.
dialogue,
Yeah.
and
It makes
There's-
the Clone Wars a little bit better.
it does.
Just a little bit better.
I like
mean,
the dialogue in the movies.
Attack of
and
the
I do
Clones, I mean.
more. Yeah.
Just because when he says you look better in the dark.
No, he doesn't say you look better. He says, I'm pretty sure I quoted this. You do look really good in the dark.
That's what he said.
This man, yes, looks at his wife and goes, "You do look really good." I mean, like, I get. I
like
don't know.
also not only in the dark. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you.
Whether you're in
And
the
then-
light
and then
or in the
she-
dark, you're
And then
beautiful.
she's like, "Oh, Annie," and then they kiss, and I'm like, Why? It's not good.
Okay,
I guess
it-
I wasn't really turned off by the scene. I thought it was just okay, whatever. Like it
It was
didn't.
just really,
No,
it was just really awkward.
for
Like, it
me,
wasn't awkward or gross to me at all, except for C-3PO doing striptease.
Okay, we
Okay.
haven't gotten there yet, Jeremiah. Come on.
but like for me to like, yeah. Well, and she said, "Don't look at me like that." But like the biggest thing for me about that is it bothered me that she called him Little Annie.
Well,
Only
she
be
doesn't say little Annie. She just says Annie.
yes, but last time she was calling him Annie was
I
when
know,
he
I know.
was Little Annie.
I know.
But I feel like she
And-
called him that in the canon Clone Wars though. Like
I-
on a
that-
regular
She
basis.
may have.
She may have. I don't remember.
remember.
But I mean, maybe it was because of that scene, but it just kind of pushed the wrong buttons for me.
Now, I will tell you that when there was one part of this I thought was hilarious. I actually audibly laughed out loud when I heard this, and it was Anakin. Anakin hears C-3PO calling Padme, and he pops his head out and he goes, "Oh no, C-3PO!" Just like he acknowledges him as just such a wet blanket and like a killjoy.
Yeah.
You can tell it in his voice. He's just like, "Oh no, this guy." I thought that was hilarious.
But
The
Uh,
guy he made.
Yeah.
well, I think he find him and then repaired him. He didn't make him from scratch, right?
No, I thought he made him from scratch. Because he said he was building his own protocol droid
Well, yeah,
back at
but
home. And then he brought them to show them. See,
I think he repaired it because how did he train C-3PO to know 6
Program.
million languages?
It's just programming.
You literally put a chip.
Yeah.
Yeah, where does he get a chip? He has to find it. So he found a.
Well, he found chips. He found
He
everything.
worked in a junk shop.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm saying he found the droid and repaired it.
I think
Found him in a junk pile because
No.
it was broken, and so he fixed it, and that's.
I know, cause no, he built them from scratch. He found all the parts and made his own. Because he even put the eyes on when we were there. Like
People in the chat, Tanner,
Guys.
other fans, look it up, see what the canon
This-
says about C-3PO on Wikipedia.
yeah,
Okay, look,
that's a
all
little
that
bit.
matters right now is that this is where his gold plating is revealed in this
Oh, God.
episode,
Yes,
and
just in
he's
case we are
like-
wondering.
he's like, Anakin's like, "C-3PO, you look different," and he's like, he says something stupid, and then
I'm
Padme's
wearing
like,
a
"Oh, no,
cloak.
yeah, he's like, "I'm wearing a cloak."
Yeah,
You
because
idiot.
he didn't want
Uh,
people to steal his body.
But
Yeah,
this
and
was-
then
wait,
Padme's
was the
and
voice?
then
Was the voice? What's his face?
I don't remember.
Okay, 'cause it sounds
Honestly.
like it was pretty decent. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like way off like all the other voices.
Speaking of, well, except for Obi-Wan's, that's James
Obi-Wan's-
Arnold Taylor.
Obi-Wan's is the best.
Yeah, but it still is a different.
It's still James
Yes.
Arnold Taylor.
I know, but it's still a slightly different.
Was it James Arnold Taylor though for this season?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's the same voice, with a slight difference in inflection. But anyway, so Padme's like, "No, he's talking about your gold plating," and he's like, Anakin's like, "Gold plating," and C-3PO goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "Well, let's see it." And he's like, "Here, right now, on this,
Oh.
in this neighborhood," and
Oh
I'm like,
gosh.
what does that even mean? And then he throws his coat back or his cloak back, and it's awkward because of the way that they positioned him, and also because they put like saxophone,
Music in the
sensual
background.
saxophone, yeah, in the background, and it was weird. it was really weird. So, anyways, they continue to make out, like with C-3PO right there. He's got his back turned. They start making out, and then Obi-Wan's like pops up on his comm link. He's like, "Hey, the council needs you." He's like, "Ugh, I don't want to do this again. I hate being a Jedi." And she's like, "You have to go." And then he whines some more, and then he leaves. That's the gist. That's
Yeah.
the gist of the scene. Okay, so he shows up, and he's super late. Because if you notice, it's light out when he's with Padme. And then it's like dusk, pretty much dark when he finally gets there and Obi-Wan shows up and he's waiting for Obi-Wan, and then he's a jerk to Obi-Wan. He's like, "You come," he's like, "You're late." He's like, "Late for another one of your scoldings," and I'm like, "Listen." I looked at my wife. My wife and I were watching it right before we recorded over dinner tonight, and I was like, "Dude, if it was me, I would have sliced him in half, threw him out the window with a force, and be like, I swear he just got lost. I don't know where
we
he is.
lost him.
We don't really need the chosen one." Because then right after that, he's like, my, like, watch what you're saying, Padawan. You're not a knight yet, or something like that. And then Anakin goes, "Yeah, and you're no Qui-Gon Jinn." And I was like,
shots
I
fired.
would have force slapped the heck out of that kid if I was Obi-Wan. He's a better
Force slap.
better-
I wonder if that
he's a-
hurts.
Huh?
Force slap.
Yeah. It's
It's
a
like-
canon force ability. Yeah, you just slap him right across the face. So anyways, and then he immediately is like, "I'm sorry, Master I," and then like Obi-Wan cuts him off. He's like, "I miss him too." And I was like, "Bruh, that would not be me. I would be like, listen here, you little brat. You're about to be knighted. If you don't shut up,
Ooh,
it's not
dang,
going to
bro.
happen." Anyways, so he gets knighted. It's a really cool scene. The whole council chamber is dark, and they've got the lightsabers out, and it's very medieval, ritual-esque. And then Yoda does the thing where he puts his lightsaber on each of his shoulders, and then on the last one, he snips off that braid. And Anakin is a Jedi Knight, and then he sends his braid back to Padme. C-3PO brings it to her, and she puts it in the box with the necklace that he made her in the Phantom Menace as a child.
We're
And
little
as
Annie.
she's looking over her shoulder, the Imperial March plays. So there's some foreshadowing for you.
Oh, also, I forgot to mention in I think it was the alley scene, Padme's hair was in the buns on the ears like Leia.
Yeah.
So, did we ever see Padme with the buns before, like in any of the movies or anything?
No, they
No.
just drew him like that.
Just interesting that.
It's just foreshadowing more.
But it's just kind of like they both had the same idea to put their hair like that. But whatever.
Like mother, like daughter.
Yep.
So then Anakin flies off with R2. He plays a message that Padme recorded him. They fly off. He's a knight now. Good for him. And then there's a complete shift. It's very subtle, extremely subtle, but there's a pretty massive time jump of a few years right here, because then it opens up on like a separatist leader boasting about how the fortress that he was defending was fortified and ray shielded. He's like, "They're gonna need 50 Jedi. They'll probably need 100 Jedi. Blah 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 blah." And he's like bragging. And then one of the droids is like, "Sorry, I see something in the distance." He's like, "What is it? Is it Jedi?" He goes, "I think so." He's like, "What is it? 100?" He goes, "Nope." "What? 50? Nope." He's like, "Oh, come on!" And the droid says 2.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it was a little funny moment. And Obi-Wan and Anakin ride up. Anakin's got his long hair. Obi-Wan's got his shorter hair. You can tell there's been a time jump. And they start wrecking people. And it starts this montage where they start tearing through the droids. And then it goes to Anakin saving Sassy 10 in space in the midst of a fighter battle. It shows Anakin being an incredible pilot. You can tell his powers have grown. There's no talking. It's just music and kind of like a montage style deal. Then there are some Jedi Masters who Eth Koth, I believe, and Ayla Secura, and then the werewolf looking dude that was in the other season. They're trapped in some bubbles, like these weird bubbles by these droids, and Anakin shows up and saves the day and, saves them all. Excuse me. And then in the same montage, Anakin goes back to Padme on Coruscant, and he has his scar. They don't explain it, but he has a scar, and she touches it, and then he moves her hand away, and it's implied that he spent the night with her, because the light turns out. What are you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, actually, apparently the chat said that in Attack of the Clones, she did have her hair like that at one point.
Oh, buns.
Yep.
So there you go. She did.
So I forget. probably should know this, but how does Anakin get his scar? Like in canon? Did we see
I don't,
that?
I don't think we ever saw
I don't
that.
think so. Is
Not-
that
not
when?
even, not even in the Clone Wars show? Like,
Maybe.
I don't remember it.
It's another thing that the chat will help us with, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why we have fans that pay attention to different things than we do when we're watching Star Wars. It's a community effort, everyone.
Yes.
So, anyways, that's the montage. Like that's the transitional montage of Anakin. Like, oh, he's more powerful. He's saving Jedi Masters now. He's still doing his stuff with Padme, even though he shouldn't be. And then we transition to the first scene, where there's actual dialogue. And I
and
really quickly,
my
we do
favorite,
ha-
my favorite joke is coming up.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Tanner says the scar is supposed to be from Ventress. It was in the book, was in a book, but I'm not sure what the canon version is. Yeah, I'm not sure what the canon version is either. I don't really remember if they even ever explained it. So now we're getting into like more like the actual story arcs instead of just a bunch of scenes. So they're on a planet, and do either of you know what planet they were on?
No, I didn't pay
I don't know.
attention.
It was raining a lot. Obi-Wan's sitting there. He's in a trench. He's trying to find a spot to lay down, and the rain keeps falling on him. He just sits up. And are you talking about the one with Cody?
No, the one
Jeremiah?
with the sack of food.
Oh no. Okay, so before that, there's a moment where Obi-Wan's there by himself. Cody drops down. He's got a jetpack. Cody drops down. He's like, "Sir, good news. At our current rate of barrage, we'll be through the enemy shields in 3 months." And Obi-Wan's like, "We've already been here a month." And he goes, "Yep, we're right on schedule," and just flies off. And it's like, oh gosh. And then Anakin shows up.
Which
Out
I
of
didn't
nowhere.
realize that Commander Cody had a jetpack.
You take it off, you put it on.
It's one of those
They
things.
fly-
They fly
he flies
now.
now.
He flies now, I
flies now.
guess. Hey, I was gonna. You stole my line.
I am this close to ending the episode right now.
Oh, come on.
Because of that.
I can't believe you guys hate that scene so much.
I hate it.
Hate it, but love the meme.
Anyways, so then Anakin shows up with a bag of something, and Jeremiah.
It was like a bag of like worms and grubs. It was like worse than from The Lion King when they're eating things.
Pomone.
And he's like, what is that? That's lunch or whatever. And Obi-Wan's like, how can you eat that? And he's like, Master, you always tell me to feed off the living force. He's definitely going to be a good dad someday, I can tell you.
Yeah. I don't know if I was. So yeah, he's like, Obi-Wan's like, that's not what I meant. And then Obi-Wan's like, where did you get that? And Anakin goes, in the enemy camp. And he's like, wait, what? And so
Also,
Anakin found-
why? My question: why does an enemy camp full of droids have food?
Well,
Well,
it's
it wasn't like laid out on a table. He found the bugs, like
In the
probably in the
sewers.
sewer.
Probably in the
Yeah.
sewer on the way to the enemy camp,
Yeah.
which means
So he finds a way underground to get into the enemy camp, and Obi-Wan was like, "So let me guess, you want us to go underground, undercover, get into the enemy camp, blow up the shields so that our troops can advance?" And Anakin's like, "Yep," and then that's what they do. So then there's a similar montage from before, but except this is a montage of the Separatists winning. So instead of it Anakin being better and more powerful, it's like montage of like 3 or 4 scenes where this on different planets that are just kind of throwaway planets that the Separatists are winning, except for there's a scene where a Wookiee and a younger Wookiee. I don't know if this is actually Chewbacca and his son.
I'm gonna say let's say it's Chewbacca and his son.
Chewbacca and Lumpy.
And good old Lumpy Lump.
Good old Lumpy. For those of you that know about the Star Wars Christmas special, and they find a Trade Federation dropship under some foliage and stuff, and it starts what we know from Revenge of the Sith to be the Battle of Kashyyyk, the attack on Kashyyyk. which for the first time in this season really like gives you an idea of where this is happening in the timeline. So, if the attack on Kashyyyk is beginning in this, that Revenge of the Sith is just around the corner, essentially.
And Ki-Adi-Mundi will have his famous line.
Yes.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
The memes that have come from that they're all amazing.
Yeah, so they show that scene and then that's it.
Yeah.
Or is that
that's how
supposed
they
to like?
starting?
Chewie.
Is that like supposed to bring up like the
It's
next
supposed
movie?
to foreshadow what we
Yeah.
see in Revenge of the Sith. So, then the next thing we see is Grievous training with Dooku, and he is trying to take Dooku out in this training session, and Dooku is just too skilled of a duelist, and Dooku is schooling him, both as a duelist, but he's also telling him things that he needs to focus on. And the main takeaway from this scene is that Sidious is watching via hologram again, and at the end of this scene, they're basically like, "Are we prepared to do our new special plan?" And Grievous is like, "Yep, it will be done." And it's obviously foreshadowing to the attack on Coruscant and taking Palpatine. So then, the next thing we see is Anakin and Obi-Wan. They do the whole thing. They go under the sewers. They blow up the shield. They save the day. And then after this scene with Grievous, we see that Anakin and Obi-Wan are inside their camp, and they're talking to Palpatine and Mace Windu via hologram. And you can tell pretty evidently that Mace Windu does not like Palpatine from this. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
like, this intelligence, might be correct. And Palpatine's like, no. It's for sure correct. My sources are correct. And he's like, yeah, okay. Like, anyways, we'll send you guys. We're going to do some reconnaissance because we believe, from what Palpatine is saying, that Grievous has been spotted on a planet called Noban, which is not, to my knowledge, and the brief research I did, mention anywhere else. It's just kind of a throwaway planet for this series. But they're like, you need to go to Noban because if you can get Grievous, you can end the war. Like that sort of a deal. So then, I lost my spot here. There we go. They go to Noban, and they're out. They take a drop ship with some clones. They go out into the forest. It's like it's like a snow-covered ice planet. Not quite Hoth, not that quite that desolate.
No.
But like, think about Minnesota. Like a slightly more extreme version of Minnesota, like a forest in Minnesota. That's what I thought. I was like, this brings back a lot of PTSD from going through those winters. But anyways, they're going through, and this big monster shows up. It's got huge tusks. It's like the size of a building, a multiple-story building. It's huge. It's like Godzilla-sized, and starts wrecking everybody. But lo and behold, Anakin does his thing. He kills the beast, and then these people, these indigenous people to the planet show up. They've got these masks on, and this one smaller boy, they have kind of would feline features be the right expression?
Yeah.
I'm watching it and I'm trying to see. Well, I see they're more like. I feel like they're based on something from another show or a movie or something.
Yeah.
They look really familiar. They're kind of like a rat feline.
Yeah, it's weird, but they have animal, like, they're humanoid, but they have animal qualities to the way that they look.
I guess they kind of look like whatever the species is from Avatar.
Oh yeah, actually that's
that's what I
that's a
was gonna
pretty good
say. They
comparison,
look
'cause
like
they're almost the same color.
What are
is-
they? What's that species? Is it?
Pantorans.
Pantorans.
Nah, I feel like that's not accurate.
Yeah.
No,
like,
it is.
Isn't it like the Natiri or something like that?
Oh well, Yeah, I guess.
Pantoran's the planet.
Pantora is the
Oh yes.
planet. Yeah.
Wait, isn't that the name of the other ice planet?
Yes, it is.
You heard it here first,
Hmm.
folks. I
Yeah.
don't know. We're getting like 10 different shows mixed together right now.
Anyways, so the little one, the little boy, he comes around. He's just yelling in another language. He's just going in on Anakin, and I'm like, Anakin should not have done that. Then there's another cut, and Yoda is.
Do we want to just now do one story arc at a time, or are we gonna go back and forth?
Let's just do one story arc.
Okay, so because now
Okay.
it's like every 2 seconds it's switching back and
It's
forth.
back and
so-
forth, yeah. So let's get the whole Battle of the Coruscant thing out of the way. Then we can come back to Anakin's because it's Drew's favorite. So I want to make note that Yoda is meditating. He opens his eyes abruptly, throws back the shades, and Coruscant is being attacked. Like ships, Trade Federation ships are coming in from the atmosphere, drop ships, tri fighters, vulture droids, the whole 9 yards. They're coming in. And Mace Windu shows up and he's like, first of all, he says, we're under attack. And I'm like, sure. That's pretty, yep. You're right. It's not a parade. But yeah, he's like, we're under attack. And then, Jeremiah, do you have it up right now?
Yeah, would you?
Okay, so there's a scene right after Mace Windu enters the room. And the perspective is from like right behind Mace Windu's legs. And you can see Yoda towards the right side of the screen.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Mace Windu. Pause that. And please tell me that Yoda's face doesn't look extremely disturbed.
Well, it does, but like his art, the art style, like
His eyes are going like 2 different directions in that shot.
Yeah.
like he's just standing kind of weird though. He's
Yeah,
just like
it's pretty bad.
he's like
it
leaning back and like reaching out and
I laughed and rewound it, and I was like, "Oh, that was not."
The
the
art
finest way to
style of
portray.
Yoda in general in this is interesting.
I like it a lot.
Really?
it's like he has more like visual representations in media than like any other character. It's like
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
fair.
we have like the original trilogy, like I was gonna say Muppet, puppet version.
yeah. You wouldn't be
Um,
entirely incorrect.
And then we have like the Phantom Menace one, and then we have the CG one, then we have the Clone Wars one, then we have the Rebels one, and then we have this one. It's just like he
He changes
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
I mean,
ages.
but if you think about it, there's only so much you can do with characters like Vader, you know.
True.
So
Or
unless
this
it's like Star Wars detours. And then
Rebels.
everyone has a big head. Well, even still, Rebels. It's still. I mean, it's Vader.
But then you have the classic Vader, what he originally looked like, the original art style.
What?
He does not
Oh, you
look the
said-
same.
You're talking about the concept art?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
It's-
meant like in A New Hope.
Oh
like,
no.
Yeah.
But-
So, so the gist of the Battle of Coruscant is that Yoda and Mace Windu get mobilized. Sassy 10 goes up into space and is leading the space battle, which is the same as what we see in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. There's just ships everywhere. There's even a shot that I thought was really cool where a Separatist ship comes out of hyperspace and like just goes directly into ramming into a Republic ship. It was a really cool moment. But there are a lot of really awesome scenes of Mace Windu and Yoda like being the Jedi Masters that we know they were and we never got to see in the movies outside of like moments like Attack of the Clones where Yoda duels Dooku, you know. But there's some really awesome displays of the Force. Like we hinted at earlier, there are moments where they just blow entire battalions of droids away with the Force. There's a moment where Yoda is like he pushes a droid carrier back into a dropship, pushes the dropship back into the path of one that's landing, and then pulls the one that's landing down into it so that they collide. He pulls two that are in midair together and has them collide. He holds up like 1,000 destroyer droids in the air.
Do
And
you guys
he
like
sends,
that?
yeah,
I thought it was like,
Drew.
Thing is, like, it was cool. It was still like over the top.
yeah,
but,
it was a
like,
little over the top. When he
'cause,
made him like go
I'm
back
not, I'm not
into the
saying
ship.
it's bad that it's over
Oh.
top. I'm just saying it's over the top. But like, it's just too big of a contrast for me from like what we actually see.
Yeah.
Because like you see him how easily he pulls these ships together, but he struggled to stop that pylon from falling on top of Anakin and Obi-Wan and Attack of the Clones. Like
True. But then
it was just like it was just too big of a contrast. Like, but it's
yeah.
a cartoon for kids, so it's supposed to be over
I
the
guess
top.
for me, this is the level of mastery that I wanted to see.
Well, and like we hear about in the High Republic when he is using the Force to help stop a ship or whatever, like or the crashing thing. Like so we know that he can do that. Especially now, and it is canon now. It was just like interesting to see the droids coming out of the ship, and then he forces them back in and shuts the door and starts to drag it. I was like, bruh, but it was fine.
I loved it. I mean, like we of course we have the scene where Mace Windu is flying around in his starship and he's wrecking, droid starfighters, and then his ship gets
That
severely
purple
damaged.
ship.
Yeah, he jumps out of it, lands on top of a droid starfighter, slices it, pulls some wires out of it, and essentially like it's like he's riding a horse or a bull, but it's like a droid starfighter.
And getting electrocuted the entire time, but we're
Yeah.
just gonna let that slide, okay? But yeah.
Dude, it's a cartoon. I'm sitting here going, "Oh, this is so cool! Like this is sick." And you guys are like, in reality, he would be getting
Hey,
electrocuted.
I didn't criticize him
No.
doing that.
I really want to see like kids watch this and their reaction to it.
Well,
Yeah. One day.
we can. I don't know how we would make that happen, but I'm.
Well, when
Anyways, so I thought it was really cool, and then he lands, and the second he drops from the sky, he starts doing his little like Jedi martial art punches and starts decimating droids. And there's a scene where a clone commander is like, "We're being overrun." Like this is one of the coolest scenes for me, and there's this like 20-30 second shot of him like just mowing down droids himself, where he's like almost completely surrounded, and he's got like a blaster, like a fully auto blaster rifle in his right hand, and he's shooting a pistol in his left hand, and he's like throws the rifle at one of the droids, and it's really cool. There's a lot of really cool moments during these battles, where Mace Windu, like I said, and Yoda are just being BA, and clone troopers are being BA, and of course there are these massive shots of Coruscant being overrun. I thought it was.
I liked.
Battle.
My favorite part of that whole thing was him meditating and then the windows open. Like we kind of already went over that, but like when the windows open and you just see him everywhere, and the guy comes in and was like, "Hey, we're being attacked!" Like, no, duh. Like, look out the window. I thought that was hilarious.
The two main arcs for the Battle of Coruscant that are happening is obviously the battle that is happening where Mace and Yoda are on the ground. They're fighting droids. The second plot is the entire plot surrounding Grievous trying to steal Palpatine. So Palpatine, it opens. Palpatine's in one of his chambers. He's literally sitting there having tea, watching this battle unfold miles away, because it was far enough away that it hadn't reached his resonance yet. Shakti, a tall, not physically tall, but like a tall, the species. The white alien Jedi, he shows up. An Ithorian Jedi shows up. Some clone troopers show up. Shakti's like, "Yo, we got to get you out of here." He's like, "I am perfectly safe right here where I'm at. Like nothing's gonna happen. The battle's so far away." As he's talking, General Grievous's head
is like coming down, and you can hear it.
Slowly, slowly comes down into the view of the window. He breaks into the glass, and like Palpatine for a split second is like scolding Grievous like a small child.
Well,
He's like,
I mean,
how dare you attack the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic and yada yada yada. And like Grievous is about to just destroy him, and Shakti pulls Palpatine back with the Force.
Now, okay, I have a question though.
Yeah.
It seemed to me that
He knew.
Grievous did not know that Palpatine was Dooku's
didn't.
master.
He didn't.
Okay.
But Palpatine knew that he was gonna get kidnapped.
Well, yeah, that's why he wasn't scared, because he was just
Yeah.
gonna get kidnapped, not killed.
Yeah. Well,
So
what if Grievous is like meh and just decided to kill him?
he wouldn't have let that happen.
I guess that's fair.
He
He would have.
like there's no way
revealed
with how
himself.
Ambitious Palpatine was. There's no way.
But how would he have stopped him without revealing?
He would have had to.
He would have stopped Grievous, and then he would have killed everyone as a
That would
witness,
that would
and
be a
and said that
really cool
Grievous-
fan fiction.
Yeah, and then he would have said that like Grievous killed everyone, and like Shakti and Grievous ended in a stalemate and killed each other or something like that. Like that's what he would have done. Because like there's so many moments in the Plagueis novel where it's like, well, there are too many witnesses, and you know what that means, and it's like lightsaber flashes on, and so. Anyways, so Grievous gets in, and he starts wrecking the clones. Like, there's some really brutal shots.
They were like strikes across the chest that like you actually see
Yeah.
happen, which we don't really
Yeah,
see in the Clone Wars. Like you see it kind of like from behind Grievous, and like you don't actually see the hit. You
Hmm.
just see him fall or whatever. But I thought it was a little intense.
You liked it, huh, Jeremiah?
Yeah.
The way you described it was like, yeah, I feel like you liked that scene.
I want
Well, I
a
mean,
rated R Star Wars thing. Come
That's
on.
fair. We
Yeah,
all
I didn't
do,
say it.
especially the. No, I'm not gonna say it. I'll leave that for you.
no.
When
We're
I
not- no,
when
no,
I
no.
win when I win a $500 million another like my fifth one,
Y'all, no.
I'm gonna have that scene recreated, and we're gonna see.
And if you guys don't know, you probably do know if you're a listener. We're not gonna mention it, but in the chat, if you guys know, you can feel free to type it out. But
I hate it so much. So, anyways, like there are clone troopers that have their helmets grabbed and slammed into walls,
Mhm.
like almost a foot into a metal wall by his feet, just by his feet alone.
if they're
So
wearing
anyways-
Beskar, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have just got a little concuss.
Too bad it was too expensive to equip
Too bad.
thousands and thousands, millions of clones. So he wrecks them, and the whole time, Shakti, the other two Jedi, the few clone troopers, and Palpatine are standing at the end of the hallway, outside of his chambers, trying to get the door to the elevator to open. The Ithorian ends up like hitting the button a few times.
That was funny.
Yeah, but then Grievous comes into the hallway. The other two Jedi Masters use the Force to. He's like climbing on the walls, and they try to use the Force to like blow up the wall underneath his
Yeah,
feet
that
to
was
dislodge
weird. It
him.
was like invisible, like
Yeah,
projectiles that were like blowing up the wall, which I thought was interesting.
yeah, and then he evades both of the attacks, but then the Ithorian uses his what was it, like 4 throats,
Something like that. And
and
just
uses it's a Force yell.
force you out and just pushes Grievous back.
Yeah.
What is this? Do you think he was that strong because he was a Jedi, or do you think all of his species can do that?
It was an
Strong.
it was an amplified thing with the Force. There's no way.
Okay. Because the Shakti was like, yeah, they all can do that or something. I thought like she meant like the species is known for their.
I just thought she was trying
Loud
to
yells.
downplay it, like he has 4 throats, just kind of as a joke. But anyways, they get into the elevator, they start going down, and then, okay, so then they're going down the elevator, and Grievous shows up outside of the glass of the elevator. He's running, I guess it's the turbo lift, I should say. He's running by the turbo lift at the same pace, what looks like hundreds of miles an hour, and then the clone trooper in the elevator with him takes out a rocket launcher
Yep.
and fires it through the glass at Grievous, who at that point might be 3 or 4 feet away from them. Like,
Hey, you
that
gotta
just did-
use what you gotta
it
use.
it did not seem like the best idea. But then, like, anyway, so they get to the bottom. They get to the bottom of the building, and there's a bunch of droids. Grievous is there. The Ithorian does this thing again. He yells, does the Force yell, blows all the droids away. Grievous turns into this like little escape pod shell looking thing. He like compacts himself all into his armor, starts walking towards him. And then some Magna Guards show up too. And they start fighting with the Jedi. The Jedi start running away. There's multiple scenes of them running and fighting and running and fighting. You know, there's a whole like drawn out scene where they're at like the equivalents of like a train station at Coruscant, and they're fighting in and out of the moving trains. And I mean, it's really cool. Like the choreography is awesome, and they end up getting away. Grievous corners them inside the train station. He's like, "Now you're gonna die, Jedi." And like Shakti, the whole time is tying his cape around the handrail
No.
of a train.
When I first saw that, I thought that was Palpatine doing that, tying his.
Oh,
But
Oh,
then, like,
that's fair.
I thought it would have been cooler if it was
yeah.
Palpatine. Like maybe I should probably do my little safety net here, just tie him up. But
Yeah.
it wasn't him.
And then the train takes off and takes him with it. And then they run away and they get Palpatine to his like emergency underground shuttle thing. I don't really know what it's called.
Shelter thing.
Yeah, well, there's like the shuttle first that takes him because Shakti stays behind. She's like, they're coming, and she's gonna stay behind.
Yeah.
And she's like, take care of the Chancellor. She stays behind, and the Magna Guard show up, and then the other two Jedi and Palpatine go on in that little shuttle thing. So she starts fighting these Magna Guards that stay behind, or that she stays behind to delay. Grievous isn't there, but there's like 11 Magna Guards. She's fighting them, and then there's these cuts back and forth between her fighting the other two Jedi who are with Palpatine. They get him into this like super fortified underground bunker, but Grievous is already there. And you can tell that right around the time Grievous shows up and he starts fighting the Jedi, that the Magna Guards are like, okay, we've done our job in delaying him. We can go. And they literally just leave. Like, they just back away from her after she took out a few of them, but like they just essentially back away. And she realizes what happens. And she's like, oh no. And she force runs super fast to try to get there. She shows up. The other two Jedi have been killed by Grievous. And the Chancellor gets taken, essentially. Grievous like wraps her up in like electric wire or something to the ceiling. Palpatine gets kidnapped. He gets stolen.
She
gets kidnapped
She gets stolen.
by Grievous. Mace Windu shows up at the very end, and he rescues Shakti from how she was tied up.
What a
That's
shock.
kind of the end of Get out. You know what's even more of a shock?
Coffee.
The sponsor of today's episode. Check it out.
Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that they have a subscription service that gets those amazing coffee beans delivered to your door on an either weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly basis. Unfortunately, we're all being negatively affected by this virus right now. But that being said, what a better time to try some new coffee and support a local business. I know they'll greatly appreciate it, and we will too. After all, using the code Empire Radio with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, when you start a new subscription at wesleyandrews.cc, you'll get 50% off your first purchase. I can't think of a better deal. Get 50% off, support a local Minneapolis coffee shop, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
You know what to do. Check it out.
Do it.
Yep.
I'm excited on a personal note because I finally got filters for my pour over, and I still have a little bit of Rule of Two coffee left.
Nice.
It's been in my freezer.
Also, very good place for coffee to be.
Yeah. So it's going to be fresh. I'm probably going to make some in the morning. But speaking of Rule of Two, if you didn't know, we did a special collaboration with Wesley Andrews. It was Wesley Andrews' first blend of two really nice coffees, and their first collaboration. They did it with us, and the whole thing Star Wars themed. So if you want a bag of Empire Radio exclusive Star Wars themed coffee, go ahead and let us know on Discord, let us know on Instagram or Facebook in a direct message, because we need to get 7 people together for a batch to be roasted. So just know we need 7 people, but if you will commit to it, once we get 7 people together, Drew over here will roast the coffee for you and then get it shipped out. So if you don't want a full subscription, but you want the Empire Radio coffee, that's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was kind of the Battle of Coruscant arc. Then, while this is happening, we have the other arc, which is a lot more strange, that takes place on this planet Nobon. Obi-Wan's there, Anakin's there, but it is really Anakin's story. So after the big monster, like reptile monster thing, gets killed, they're taken back to the village of these Nobonians people, blue people. I don't know what to call them, but these people, they're taken back to their village on these yaks because it's really cold and snowy there, and they are taken into the village elder's hut, and he looks rough.
Like older
Bad.
than Yoda, rough.
Older than Yoda. Like he has like you know the eye boogers you get when you wake up. It was
Yep.
like that, but like small pebble-sized ones. It looked like in his eyes. It was disgusting. I was like, dude. First of all, get this man some lotion. Secondly, why he's too old to be doing this stuff. He looked like he was like two or 300 years old at least. But they're talking in their native language, and Obi-Wan, come to find out, because of his time traveling with Qui-Gon, knows how to at least interpret what they're saying. He might not know how to speak it, but he can at least translate it for Anakin.
I think he
And-
could feel their thoughts. So like it wasn't
I thought
really
he knew the language because he says
no,
you travel
because-
with Qui-Gon enough.
no, because this might be getting ahead of itself, but Anakin at the end of the arc
Figures
learns
it
to
out.
understand what the guy's saying, not because he understands the language, but because he can feel what the guy's feeling.
Sure, but Obi-Wan speaks it with the guy when they have the little ghost hand bit.
Yes, he does.
I think it's implied that Obi-Wan knows how to at least interpret it because he was because of his travels with Qui-Gon. And then Anakin just figures.
Oh, I thought it was more of like understanding.
I get where you're coming from, Jeremiah, because that's what I thought at first. But then when you start speaking, like
I guess
it's
I missed the speaking.
it almost
part. Like,
it
I
almost
didn't notice
feels
it.
like he didn't know how to speak their language, but figured it out very fast. But
I just
like,
know that they know how to communicate.
yeah, like I don't
Yep.
know. I kind of understand that because a lot of the times my wife speaks a different language, and I don't know what they're saying, but I actually do. If that makes any sense. It probably
No,
doesn't.
it does. It does.
Like
So basically, you're saying you and Obi-Wan Kenobi are the same.
I mean, yeah. Why not?
You wouldn't say you're closer to a broom kid than Obi-Wan?
Definitely not Broom Kid. Maybe Finn. Like maybe I have the Force, I just don't know it, or I knew it, but I didn't want to tell anyone for this long time, you know. But definitely not Broom Kid. Heck no.
I think you remind me a lot of Broom Kid. Drew's over here getting seriously offended.
Oh, the chat's saying I'm Big Broom Kid. Yeah,
Big
no.
Broom Kid.
Yeah. So if they,
Hey,
do a-
Tanner.
No,
Tanner, you know
no,
what to
no,
do.
no.
Yeah.
Tanner, you know what to do. Make those memes, bro.
I'm just saying, Drew. Like, if they make like a spin-off series that takes place like 25, 30 years. or
Would
20
I
years
play
after-
Broom Kid if they came up to me?
Yes, they said we need you to audition for adult Broom Kid. He's going to be a Force-sensitive Jedi.
Okay, I
under
want to
training of-
audition. If they say, Andrew, you're adult Broom Kid, sure, I'll do it. Why not? But if they say you need to audition, I would not do it. Like, no. And I'm not an actor anyways.
But what if they came to you and said, you have to audition, but we're gonna guarantee you the role. You are adult. You're a big Broom Kid.
As long as that's my title in the scroll, that I am Big Broom Kid, sure, I'll
Yeah.
do it. Only
But your
for
only
you, the
part- your
listeners.
only part is pulling a broom to your hand, and
Well,
then standing
duh.
out and looking at the stars.
Okay, can it at
You're-
least be like me, like looking at the broom and it's automatically sweeping itself? Like that's how far I came from me grabbing
it's
it.
So funny.
like,
it's so funny 'cause
to-
it's not that far. It's
Yeah,
not that
it's
far.
not that far, but it's
Yeah.
far enough to now I don't have to do as hard of chores.
He's still working in the same stable.
Yeah,
like,
it's
with
same
the same
thing.
way.
Just
We've
like
got- we've-
with the
We've
beard.
got someone. We've got someone in the chat that says so. As a new listener, my main takeaway is that Drew is big Broom Kid. That's great. So they're talking, going back to the old guy's hut, bringing it back. They're talking. Come to find out, all of their champions from the village.
You don't know the power of the broom.
You saw the Photoshop Black series of the Broom Kid broom. that I sent in the
yeah,
Discord?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
If you're on Instagram, not a sponsor, we're no way related, but Star Wars Photoshop on Instagram is a phenomenal account. It's really funny.
That's where you pulled it from. I thought you made
Yeah.
that. Little,
Oh, I'm not that good.
a little less respect now for that. I thought you personally made it to
Dude,
make fun of me.
My Photoshop skills are kind of good, but they're not that good. That's next level.
hey, Drew, you know how in Rebels in Twilight of the Apprentice when we see Maul and he uses his cane and he opens it up and it's his lightsaber.
Mhm.
The broom, you take off the end and it's your lightsaber.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say he opens his cane and the lightsaber blade is in the shape of a broom at the end.
Could do that.
How about this, Drew? You
Can you
your
guys stop
hilt-
giving Tanner ideas right now? Like,
Your hilt is in the handle of the broom, and the blade is also in the shape of a broom. And then you could be like Ahsoka and have a Shoto linked one. It's a dustpan.
Oh.
There we go.
anyways,
Anyways,
Clone Wars.
speaking of Broom Kid, Tanner says in the chat, Broom Kid's name is Timiri Blag, and someone else goes, Broom Kid's name is Drew. I'm sorry, guys.
And for listeners, if you want to get involved in making me Broom Kid, make sure you go to Twitch one more time
Okay,
and
listen,
hit that follow
Drew-
button.
Hashtag Drew is Broom Kid. We'll get that trending on
Yeah.
on the Twitterverse.
listen, everyone, we've all had our things. Jeremiah had the first half of A New Hope is trash. I had Star Wars underwear. Now,
That's the, okay, that's the
got
worst
Broom
one.
Not had Star Wars. You have
I
Star
Yeah.
Wars. or
For those
You
of
both-
may or may not be wearing them right now, but
no, but the if you want to know what I'm talking about,
Goes
go
into
listen-
Wives of the Empire.
Wives of the
podcast.
Empire, and my wife very unexpectedly just threw me under a whole fleet of buses, just one after the other. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. It was devastating. Anyways, let's get back on track.
So old guy with eye boogers all over his face.
Yeah, eye boogers guy. So they're talking, and Obi-Wan is translating that all of the males, the champions, the warriors from this village, have gone out to search this cave. So there's this problem that's happening where the rivers are frozen and the weather is out of whack, and they've been sending champions into this one cave to try to figure it out. None of them have returned. And they were in the process of selecting a new champion, which is not good because it was a child. But that's beside the fact. With this monster, and Anakin killed the monster and ruined the trial, which probably would have ended in the kid's death anyways, but whatever. And then they're like, you gotta go do the thing. You gotta go into the cave, essentially.
You got to go do it.
So I want to make note for you Samurai Jack fans. Okay, so if you don't know, Genndy Tartakovsky, who produced and directed this version of Clone Wars, also is the mastermind behind so many of Cartoon Network's biggest shows. Powerpuff Girls, I think Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Dexter's Lab. I
What
don't
is
think
Foster
Ed,
Home
Ed,
for
Ed, and Eddie
Imaginary
was one.
Kids?
Huh?
I don't even know that one.
What?
Foster Homes for Imaginary.
Oh, that was good. It was a good one.
Never heard
But
of it.
Never heard of
it's
it.
fine. Anyways, so Samurai Jack was one of them. Samurai Jack was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. And fun fact, Samurai Jack, so he has a symbol. He has a specific symbol that's associated with him and his family in that show. And that was one of the symbols. So the old guy has these like ancestral ceremonial like robes on, and he has these different like, they look kind of like buttons, but they're, or patches or something, but they're different symbols down the front of his robe. One of the symbols is Samurai Jack's family crest. Little Easter egg for those of you that know
Fun.
Genndy Tartakovsky. Okay, Drew, is something funny over there?
Something in the chat.
Just go to Discord at some point, and if you're not on Discord, if you're not
Did
on
Tanner do his
Discord,
magic?
Oh, he did.
okay, I think because the listeners might not go to Discord, we
That
might
is so
post
good. So that fast? Oh god.
we might
Yeah.
post this one on our IG. So go follow us on IG if you don't want to be in our Discord, because
No,
this one
you should come be a part of the Discord.
you
so can
should,
get all of
but
the
not
memes,
all
because
of them.
Rise
will.
of the Broom Boy.
there have been
December
memes.
25th.
I didn't even see that.
It gets better and better, and like the
The-
brooms on
the
the
brooms
bottom are
on
like
crate,
the
yeah.
ships. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
How did he do that so fast?
It's you mobilize Tanner and he does his thing.
Oh gosh. You need Tanner. You need to like apply for a job at Lucasfilm and see if you can be like a
The meme department.
meme department.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, to
Okay,
be fair, Drew,
lock
you're
it
just
in.
joining the party because Jeremiah's had memes made of him. I've definitely had memes made of me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so Samurai Jack, there's an Easter egg. So they have this ceremony where the old guy calls upon the spirit of the fire or whatever, and there's a big smoke hand that comes out of the top, and they start saying this word in their own language, and Obi-Wan's like, "Oh wait," and he pulls off Anakin's glove and holds up his hand, and apparently they're saying ghost hand, and Anakin is ghost hand. He qualifies because he has a robot hand. And Obi-Wan volunteers him to take on the trial, to go in and save, to bring back all of the men from the tribe. So Obi-Wan volunteers him for that. Then he takes off his shirt and he gets those sick blue tattoos that Drew loves.
No.
And
false.
he goes into the cave. He goes into
So-
the cave.
They're not tattoos. It's more like henna. I didn't even know that. So
Yeah. Or just paint,
sure.
crayon, spray paint, watercolor, Sharpie.
Okay, we're just named crayons. What do you? Let's go.
So he goes into the cave, and there are these vents that are popping up from the ground, and they're creating a lot of smoke. Anakin gets rid of the smoke, and he begins to see these cave paintings. And I think one hits him in the face and causes him to hallucinate. Like, I know he has a vision, but I think it had something to do, because like one hits him like directly in the face, and then he starts having the vision. So I think it's like half a
I don't know. I
hallucination.
gotta go
half a
rewatch that because there's a lot to interpret there.
Yeah.
In the whole scene.
So the cave paintings start to move, and they tell the story of this indigenous people group. Um, they're being ravaged by monsters, and then one person steps up and begins taking one warrior begins taking down all of the monsters for these people. And then at one point, the warrior gets his hand bitten off by this final like dark entity that he's fighting. But then he gains this new power, and his hand is like very geometric, and like there's a lot of sharp corners. Like if you think of a drawing style, it's like very rough and sharp and jagged and stuff, in comparison to the rest of his body. And it's this black, like, I don't know, kind of reminded me a little bit of Venom, kind of like a symbiote thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's got this hand. It's very symbolic of Anakin, and he begins using its power to just take down all of the things that were plaguing the village. And then at one point, the hand becomes whatever the hand is becomes too powerful, and it engulfs the rest of the village and actually destroys everyone he loves. And then right at the end, it zooms in on this warrior, the painting of this warrior. The energy, the dark energy from the hand is taking over the entire frame of the screen you're viewing, and then it forms the shape of Darth Vader's mask in like a very rough tribal version. And you hear Padme shout Anakin's name as like an echo. So it's it's a huge foreshadowing of his transformation to Darth Vader. He wakes up, and he's very conveniently just like 300 or 400 feet away from this main reactor inside this mountain. Climbs up the side. There is an entire base etched into the walls of this mountain, very similar to like Utapau, kind of. But Anakin goes in, uses the Force to silently infiltrate the base. He gets around all the droids, and then he finds in these test tubes these like super bloated, mutated versions of the warriors. And we find out that the Techno Union is mutating them to be biological super soldiers, essentially. And I guess it was Wat Tambor, one of the two. It's not really stated, but he had the same color scheme and a similar voice. So they're in the process of like they bring in the last remaining like normal warrior from the village, and he's like, I'll oversee the operation myself. And he puts him into this vat, and the vat fills up with a liquid that starts the transformation process of these normal male warriors into these huge bloated monstrosity things. And Anakin jumps in to try to save him, starts destroying battle droids, and then Wat Tambor releases the finished versions of these monsters who are like mindless, and their minds are being controlled, and they have like huge cannons on their right arms. And Anakin's like, yo, I don't want to hurt you, because he recognizes who they are, and he's like, I don't want to hurt you. And so they start attacking him, but Anakin's like doing the best he can not to kill him. He's force pushing and like cutting off just the barrels of some of their guns and stuff like that. And the whole time, the one in the tank who hasn't completed the transformation yet, and had his mind completely controlled, you can tell he's super conflicted, and he's like, I just want this to stop. Like, I want my people to stop fighting with this person who is obviously here to help us. So he breaks out of the tank and ends up attacking one of the guys who's attacking Anakin, and rips off this like electronic control module strapped to their chest. And that frees their mind. And so he like roughly communicates with Anakin. He's like, you got to get these off. So Anakin starts cutting them off left and right and freeing these guys. And then they all end up becoming free, and they stage a revolt. So all of the warriors who are now massively deformed. It's actually really sad.
It is.
Like
I felt so bad the whole time.
The way that they're animated, it really like legitimately makes you feel bad for them. And it's
Yeah.
just because they look really gruesome. And they didn't have a choice in it, like they were turned against their will.
When we see the last one that goes into tank, like he's like Hercules, like fit, like big and strong,
buff. Yeah.
And like so they're like chiseled people, but these ones are like really like overweight, bloated,
huge, giant, because they were
gross.
like small. Like when you get to the end, like you see the difference between what they
Yeah.
should be, the size of like a normal person to them. They're like giants
Giant,
almost.
You think about like the Incredible Hulk, not Professor Hulk, but like the more normal sized Incredible Hulk versus like a normal person.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a rough comparison. That's pretty similar.
Right.
So the blue guys, the Warriors, stage a revolt, and while they're doing that, Anakin, the leader who broke out of the vat, he's like, "You got to go get this crystal from the reactor. If you can destroy the crystal, it'll destroy this machine." We find out that the machine has been causing like the entire ecosystem to turn into an ice age and things to fall apart and stuff like that. He's like, "You've got to destroy the crystal." And so they stage a revolt. They start routing all of the Techno Union people as they're running, and they start, destroying droids and stuff like that. And Anakin gets up super high. He jumps down into the main part of the reactor, swings down, and tries to break through the force field with his lightsaber. He can't break through. He realizes, I've got to put my hand in. So he uses his metallic hand and takes his hand, and it's electrocuting him the whole time. He puts his hand in, and he force pulls within the force field the crystal to his hand. He crushes it. The crystal explodes, and it actually explodes his entire artificial hand up to like pretty much where the joint is with his actual flesh. So he loses his hand. So then one of the final scenes is that the warriors, the deformed warriors, have now made it outside, and they're just tearing through battle droids as the Techno Union guys are trying to get out into their ship. Anakin shows up, and this is when we see him overcome by his rage. Essentially, for a moment he turns to the dark side and he wrecks the Techno Union guys. The last one, huh?
Well, he uses his. It's like his main thing is his arm without his hand that he's using to, like, a ghost hand, like what was kind of like, which made him more. It was like he only used that one, which was just interesting because it kind of goes back to our Katina discussion that we had way back when about how all that how the physical hand, what that has to do with like moving objects and stuff. So for our new listeners, go listen to our Katina discussions.
Yeah.
For sure.
Some really good podcast way back when.
Yeah, that is a very interesting point because he lost his artificial hand, and that's the limb he's using to control the Force this whole time. And he's like wrecking the Techno Union guys, and the last guy he raises into the air. The guy's basically pleading for his life, and he crushes the entire like mechanical, breathing mechanism around his neck, and like just shatters his neck, and just drops him to the ground. And then the warriors who still have the blasters on their hands look at their own hands and they look at theirs, they look at his, and then they rip all of their blasters off to, as a sign of, I guess acknowledging him as a leader and acknowledging that they don't need the weapons, and they're all standing there. No one has a right hand at this point of any kind, and they're all like chanting, and it looks like they're almost exalting him as a leader. It's kind of weird, but it's very evident that Anakin taps into the dark side. Like he is fueled by rage at this point, not the light side of the Force. So Anakin takes him back. There's this really sad, but also simultaneously heartwarming scene where you can tell the wives are like, what are our husbands like? What is this? Like, how did they get to be these monsters compared to what they used to be? And they're shocked, and you can tell they're thinking about like taking a step back and maybe not acknowledging it. And then one of the kids, I think it's the same boy, runs up to his father and acknowledges one of them as his father, and he hugs him. And then the wives, that's the thing that kind of breaks the wives down, and they have this really heartfelt reunion.
I was getting like when I watched it, I was more seeing it as in like they didn't know who they were at all. They didn't recognize them.
Well, yeah, there was just all confusion.
And
like,
then
Yeah.
when the
Fear,
daughter or the
confusion.
son did it, that's when
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh wait, these are
But
our
it's
loved
so
ones
sad
that
'cause
went
you're like,
missing." Yeah, they're screwed.
these people have built lives,
Yeah.
you know, and have relationships, and now they're coming back. These monsters.
And they can't fit
Uh,
in their own huts anymore.
Yeah.
They have to change
So
their whole village. It's a lot.
there's this nice moment they get reunited, and then they all have these like tribal wraps made for their nubs, where they don't have their hands. Anakin gets one too. Actually, they make him
True.
one, and then Obi-Wan's like, "So tell me what happened." And like Anakin pretty quickly changes the subject. He doesn't go into too much detail about it, and then they have a mini discussion, and then the next scene, he's gotten an upgraded mechanical hand. He's in the Republic cruiser in the hangar area, and it's really cool because it's gold, but it's got these like black accents to it that looked really really cool. That obviously we never saw in.
Was it gold plated just like C-3PO's new gold plating?
Yeah. They just didn't put saxophone behind it when he when he
Maybe
showed
that's
it to
why
us.
it got all nice and shiny and gold, because he was inspired by how great C-3PO looked.
Maybe.
Like, I can
Um,
impress Padme with this.
Mm.
Oh gosh. So
In the dark.
Obi-Wan
Anyways.
shows up and he's like, "Hey, just so you know, like when we like every Jedi looks into him or herself, and there's dark parts, and the the existence of those parts don't define us. It's what we do with them that does." And he's like dropping this wisdom bomb on Anakin, and then they get interrupted, and Mace Windu's like, "Yo, the Chancellor Palpatine's been kidnapped. We need you to come back and rescue him right now." And Anakin immediately is like, "Everybody, get ready for hyperspace. We're gonna da 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 da." He just walks off, and that's how it ends. And so it literally ends, I guess, the equivalence of like a few hours before the start of Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm.
So, assuming this was still canon, it kind of has the same effect that Rogue One does for the beginning of A New Hope, where it's like, oh, here's a almost direct link into this story. But that is the end of season 3 and or part 2 of the 2005 Clone Wars.
Fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's it. There's no more, unfortunately. I did mention last week that the reason that there's not more is because the popularity of this series, the two volumes of this series, was the very thing that spurred the creation of the Clone Wars that we have now.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yep.
that's why we don't have any more. Also,
Canon Clone Wars was started in 2008, right? So the 3-year.
I don't remember.
I think it was 2008. So
It's
that
so
was been
funny because like when the movie came out, I remember as a Star Wars fan, I was like, okay, this looks stupid. I didn't go see the movie. I had no interest in the movie.
Wow, really?
And then I remember watching the show and being like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then it took me like a solid 6 months to realize that the two are connected. And then I went back and watched the movie.
Oh.
So, anyways,
I watched the movie in theaters. I don't remember what movie it was that I went to see, but when I was in the theaters, I remember like literally in my mind seeing this giant poster of the Clone Wars cartoon movie that was gonna come out, and I was like, I have to go see that, and I saw it, and I was really confused why Anakin had a Padawan. It was really confusing. But yeah.
all right. Well, everyone, if you haven't seen the OG Clone Wars, they're on YouTube. All you need to type in is the
OG.
Clone Wars or Clone Wars 2003, Clone Wars 2005. There are
Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah, there are two main videos. They've been split up into part 1 and part 2, and they've been edited in such a way that you only see the intro and the outro once. So it's like essentially watching a movie uninterrupted.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's great. They're both just right at like an hour, maybe an hour and some change. long. So if you watch them back to back, it's like a feature length film, which is cool. And like I said, they're on YouTube. They're free. So if you want to see kind of an alternate version of the Clone Wars of what could have been, had it not been deemed as non-canon, go check it out. It's a lot of fun. It is over the top, sure, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, and let us know if you do end up watching it. Let us know in the Discord. Let us know on social media what you think.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it.
Yes,
Leave us a voicemail
please.
because I want to do an episode where it's just listener questions.
Just voicemails and listener questions and opinions and memes and all that fun stuff.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, should we let them know what is coming next week?
We
Give
can.
a little hint. So,
Top 5 favorite ships in
Vegetables.
Star
Oh,
Wars.
moments of Jar Jar Binks.
what?
Sorry, did you say chips? We're doing that
Maybe-
one instead
maybe-
of the Jar Jar Binks one?
Or maybe what we could do
I'm
is we could
joking.
each give our top 5 things we want to see in Drew the Broom Kid standalone movie.
Okay, actually though, let's just Jeremiah and I will
Stop.
popcorn back and forth, and we'll just write on the spot
Our own fan
a
fiction.
our own fan fiction for Drew the Broom Kid.
That
It's
we ha-
the thing-
okay, hold on.
no,
We have
should
to get
do- Remember that thing that we did last summer? The like the D&D like story generator thing.
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
type in.
Yeah, yeah.
We could do that, but for the Broom Kid story. It'd be this random.
Let me do some research. I'll
Research?
see if we can make that happen.
okay.
For
Well,
right now,
but-
look. For right now, we'll do our top 5 favorite ships. We'll talk about ships, starfighters.
Yep, it's been a long time requested thing by our fans, by
Yeah.
many people. So
and you already know my number one, but yeah.
Broom Kid
Yeah.
ship that he has in the
Okay.
background in the
The
It's-
Broom
it's-
Kid infiltrator.
The Dust Bunny is what I would
It's
call
like,
it.
It's like Darth Maul's scimitar, but it's just shaped like a broom.
No, it's
no, no,
called the
it's-
Dust Bunny.
It's like in Spaceballs when
okay,
the ship
yeah.
turns into the vacuum.
Oh my.
His ship is the vacuum. It turns into a vacuum.
Okay.
He
That's
goes
what-
around the galaxy cleaning up messes.
Your real name could be Dyson.
Just
Ooh.
stop.
Or KitchenAid.
Okay.
Dyson Shark.
Oh, let's go.
Dyson Shark. That's a good name.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know in the comments on Discord, on our social media, if you want Jeremiah and I to just write a fan fiction for Broom Kid, Drew the Broom Kid.
Why is okay?
Anyways, so but next week we're going to be talking about starfighters. There are a lot of other top 5, top 10 rankings that have been requested, so we'll be doing those as well. But you'll just have to stay tuned to see what's going to be coming after next week.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, y'all?
Nope.
Nope.
That should be it.
All right. Well, you've been listening to another episode of the Broom Kid. I'm sorry. You've been listening to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew,
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
and may the Force be with you.
Always.